I'm Michaela and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about plants that, in my opinion, do and do not live up to the hype. So it's just like plants that I see people talking about a lot and whether or not I think they're worth the hype. And this is all just based on the specific plant that I have in my collection and what I think of it. So this is all just opinion, but I thought it would be fun. But if one of your favorite plants I have on my list that does not live up to the hype, this is not intended to be an attack. Obviously, this is for entertainment purposes only. So we'll just go ahead and get to talking about the plants. Okay, so I want to start out on a positive note, and I'm going to show you the plants that I think do live up to the hype. And I'm also, I'm not telling you to buy or not buy any of these plants. Just, get the plants that you like, and yeah, your plant collection, your plant journey is all your own. This is just my opinion. And I'm over-explaining myself because sometimes people get really upset about the things people say about plants on the internet. So, again, this is just for fun. Okay, so the first one that I think does absolutely live up to the hype is the Monstera Constellation. Oh my gosh, look at that leaf. Okay, so this is one I have to admit, I did not necessarily see the hype for a long time on this one. Until I saw this specific plant. I actually traded for this, and yeah, I'm pretty sure the girl that I traded with was laughing at me because I was like, I probably gasped and shrieked and whatnot when I saw the plant, and I was just like sitting in the truck with my husband, just marveling over this plant, and it has quickly become one of my favorites. I mean, I have no words, It's just, it's definitely, I thought that I liked the Albo better, but they're very different, and I do love this one. I love that the variegation is a little bit more subtle and kind of more of a yellow, and the leaves are just massive. So, and you may have seen me repot this one recently. That was quite an adventure, but she seems to be taking to it really well. So yeah. Also, it is very hot in here today. It's really hot and humid where I live, and I'm wearing long sleeves. Not the best idea because I was staining some patio furniture yesterday, but I did stain the whole piece of furniture, but I also stained myself quite a bit, so, and I can't really get it off, so we're wearing long sleeves. Okay, so the next plant that I think is definitely worth the hype is the Philodendron Florida Ghost. Yeah, I think there are a lot of cool things about this plant. So first of all, this color, I'll get it a little closer so you can see. It comes in very a creamy white color and then kind of fades to green, and you can see that this one's kind of starting to do that. And it has a pinkish red petiole and a fun little lobed leaf shape. And I would say that this one is pretty easy to grow as well. So it definitely makes a statement, but doesn't require a lot from you to do that, if that makes sense. I know sometimes people have issues with the white leaves browning if they don't turn green. I have actually not really had many issues with that, or it'll do it once and then bounce back. You just kind of have to be patient with the plant and just kind of watch it. But it'll probably be fine. It'll figure itself out. Plants don't really need us as much as we would like them to. I would say. But yeah, this one is very cool. Okay, so the next one is a pretty small specimen, and that is a Philodendron. Can you see this leaf? It's very pink. A Philodendron Pink Princess. And this one, I've had this plant in a lot of videos, and I could not get this oldest leaf to root for the longest time. And then I finally did, and it has given me such cool variegation. I think, for me anyway, it's just this color, like it's so unusual. And I know it is chemically induced, but it's just unusual for a plant. And if you know me at all, you know I love color. So a colorful plant is a good plant in my opinion, unless it's a calathea. Okay, the next plant, I talk about this plant a lot, and that is because I love it. It is the Philodendron Splendid. And it just looks, I don't know, there's just something like, how would I even describe this? If it makes any sense at all, I feel like it's a very classy looking plant. And it's pretty easy. Like, I have this plant growing just in room humidity and temperature, and it's doing really well. And I don't know if you can see with these angles, but the backs of the leaves are kind of like a reddish color, and the veins are very bright, if that makes sense, but also subdued at the same time, you know? Yeah, I just really like this one. This is my favorite philodendron hybrid of all time. Probably one of my favorite plants of all time also. And I say that about tons and tons of plants, but this one, definitely. I'm a big fan of like the velvety leaves. You can't beat a velvety leaf philodendron. Yeah, so if you get an opportunity to get your hands on one of these, I would say go for it. For me, they don't give me too much trouble, and they look really fancy, if that makes sense. Yeah, Philodendron Splendid. This one, I'm sure may be a little bit controversial. I think that the Anthurium Warocqueanum, I think that this plant is definitely worth the hype. It is not a fast grower, and it's not one of those that won't give you any trouble. It's gonna make you work for it for sure, but I mean, look, you know? So this is actually, I've had this plant since August of 2021, and this is the only leaf that it's put out in my care, but it's definitely sized up significantly from the existing leaves that it came with. And you're gonna have to probably keep this in a humidity enclosure of some kind. I have it in my Mills bow. I had it in moss for a very long time, and I just recently moved it to soil. It seems to be doing okay. It's been in it for a couple of weeks and is still alive, so that's a good sign. But yeah, I know these have a reputation for being quite finicky, and I would not disagree with that. But yeah, if you want a little bit of a challenge, this is a good plant for you. Okay, next on plants that do live up to the hype, I would say Monstera Albo definitely does. There's just something like maybe striking or shocking about a plant like this, you know? This is like, a Monstera leaf is like the default plant leaf that, I don't know, you see a lot. So when you see a variegated one, it's just kind of like shocking, but in a good way. And I find that these grow really well. I definitely have had issues with browning, and I'm not 100% sure how to avoid that, to be honest. I've kind of messed around with it to try and figure it out, and I have not So, I mean, if you have any tips about that, I am all ears, but unfortunately I cannot offer any guidance on avoiding browning on your Monstera Albo. But even with that, I think that this is still a very beautiful plant. And yeah, definitely worth the hype. Oh, look at this one. Oh my gosh. Look at this. Look at that plant. Okay. I'm looking at it in a mirror across the room. So this is probably the, look at these aerial roots too. This is just wild. Okay, so this is a Philodendron Billietiae, and I absolutely love this plant. I got this about 1 year ago as a one leaf mid cutting. It lost that leaf very quickly, and it started putting out these little tiny ones, and it sized up so quickly. Like, I think this leaf here was 16 inches long, and the newest leaf I have not measured, but it is definitely bigger than that. This plant is just very easy to deal with, but it looks very striking, like I keep saying. And look at the orange, it has orange petioles, and I mean, the big lobed leaves, so cool. I mean, I've heard people say this is an underrated plant and it's not very hyped, but I see this plant all around Instagram and stuff a lot. So I would say this is one of the more hyped up plants, and it is absolutely deserving of that. I would love to find a variegated one that wouldn't cost what those cost, but yeah, that's not gonna happen anytime soon. One day maybe, you never know. Until then, I am more than happy with this plant. I love it. I keep saying I'm gonna cut it up, and I could, but I just don't want to, you know? I just want to see how much bigger these leaves are gonna get, because they're just so cool and they keep getting bigger and bigger so quickly. So yeah, I love this plant. If you can get one of these, even if it's a tiny one, definitely do it. And there's a good chance you'll be able to size it up pretty quickly. And this one's just a cutting. I'll show you a picture or like a little video of my bigger one, but that is the Philodendron Buono. This is another one that's just, you can't beat it because the leaves get so big so fast, and this variegation is very pretty. It comes in like a whiter color and then fades to like a light green, like a yellowish light green. And this is just a cutting. I found these to be really easy to root also. I keep rearranging these roots and they keep growing up and out. But yeah, Philodendron Buono is definitely a good one. If you follow me on Instagram, you have probably seen me talk pretty much non-stop about Philodendron Gloriosum. But I mean, look at it. What do you want me to do? And this one looks like it's getting a really big new leaf. I just love this. It's a very classic looking plant, and it's not, like, for the look of it, it looks like it would be more difficult than it is, if that makes sense. I have this one growing just in open air humidity. Doesn't need to be in a greenhouse cabinet or anything, and it is doing really well. I recently put it in like a rectangular pot because it is a crawler. Let's see if you can see that. But yeah, they just kind of crawl along a rectangular box like this, and I think that's just a fun, I don't know, a different, I guess it's not different, there's a lot of plants that do that, but it's just something a little bit different. Yeah, Philodendron Gloriosum. Okay, so the next one, I go back and forth on this one, and it's hard for me to say that I don't love any of these plants, because I actually do. Like, I love all of these plants. I absolutely intend to keep them. I like them enough to keep them. I just don't know that they lived up to what I was expecting from them. But I mean, don't ask me to send you my plants for free, you know? I actually get that surprisingly a lot. So yeah, they're just not my favorite, but I do very much like these plants, and it does not come naturally for me to say a plant is not my favorite, you know? Yeah, I'm always, all the time, I say pretty much every plant is my favorite, and people always make fun of me. I think good-spiritedly they make fun of me. I'm not offended at all. I'm making fun of myself too. They're all my favorite. Okay. This one I go back and forth on. That is the Philodendron Majestic. So when it's getting new leaves, that's when I'm like, oh, I see what this is about. I get it now, because it has kind of the verrucosum looking back, and it's like really red, but then like normally they aren't really quite, they're nothing to write home about, you know? And then this one doesn't have a ton of the silvery variegation, so that could be part of it, because I just cut it up a whole lot. But yeah, didn't really live up to what I was hoping it would be, but you know, it is what it is. Okay, so the next one is a Philodendron Glorious. And I do actually really like this one. However, I don't like love it like I do the Splendid, you know? So yeah, it is a really cool plant, and it's a cross between a Melanochrysum and Gloriosum. And you can kind of tell by looking at it, but it's just, I think maybe it's the color that doesn't quite, I don't know, doesn't quite do it for me like the Splendid does, because it's kind of like a purpley blue, and this is just green. But yeah, also the thing about this one is the extra floral nectaries. You really have to be on top of it with those. But it is growing pretty well just in regular room humidity. Yeah, and I'm curious to see how this one will look as it sizes up some more. But I just don't find myself gravitating toward this one when I'm looking to like mess around with my plants or take pictures of them. This isn't usually the one I go for whatever reason. But it is a very fast grower, I will say that. So if that's your thing, it's probably a good plant for you. So the next one is the variegated Philodendron Hederaceum. And I know I've said in the past that I did get the hype on this, but I've changed my mind based on how difficult it's been to keep the nice variegation coming, you know? And also, like, I like a really big, striking, I don't know, I like a big leaf that makes a statement, you know? And this is not that. Or like a unique shape or something. So I think that's why I don't really find myself calling this one of my favorites. But yeah, and I mean, it's just not different enough from some of the other heartleaf philodendrons. Like, I would pick a cream splash over this any day, and that's way cheaper. So, I do still like this, to be clear, though. Okay, and this is one I'm hoping I will change my mind on as this gets bigger, but that is the Philodendron Strawberry Shake. And this one, I bought it tiny and I knew it didn't have a ton of variegation, and that's why I was even able to buy it. These can be very, very cool when they have like the bigger leaves with more variegation. But this one specifically, I find myself getting really excited about a new leaf, and then it's just hard to see the variegation at all. Like, yeah, so I think I'm gonna move this out to the greenhouse and see what happens with it, because things tend to produce a little bit better variegation out there than they do in my house under grow lights. So it's just not what I was hoping to get, but I also intentionally bought a tiny plant with low variegation. So that's definitely on me, but we will see. I'm gonna see if I can get this to look better. Okay, the next one, you guys probably hear me complaining about this plant a lot because it gives me so much trouble. And that is the Philodendron Mamei, however you want to pronounce it. Aside from calatheas, I have never encountered a more spider mite prone plant. On this one, I think I have removed all of the leaves a number of times and grown it back from a stump probably 3 or 4 times, and I can't figure it out. I keep it just isolated in a bin by itself most of the time, and I don't want to have to do that. I think I don't think it has spider mites right now, but I'm sure I'll find some on here later today now that I said that. But yeah, I'm just disappointed about that. I don't know what it is about this one. I don't have that issue with the Ploumanii. I mean, slightly, but not anywhere near the degree that I do with this. So I don't know. It's just not what I was hoping for. And it may be this specific plant. I mean, I might not have as bad of luck with something else, but I don't have high hopes. This is not one I would buy again. Just, yeah. It's very beautiful though, if you like treating things for bugs all the time, and if that's your thing, definitely get one of these, but that's not my thing. I don't want to be doing that any more than I already have to. So yeah. Okay, so there is one, I'll have to put in some B-roll showing it to you because it's too big to bring in the house. And I talk about this one a little bit. That's the Philodendron Paraiso Verde. And I guess I haven't had it as long as I've had a lot of my other plants, so I've only had it mostly over the winter. So that may be why I don't love it, but it just turns all green over the winter, which I don't want. It is starting to get some of its variegation back, but I mean, all things considered, you can kind of achieve that look of like the long lobed leaf with a Jose Buono, and it's a lot easier and better looking. And if you want like a long lobed leaf that's just plain green, I would say go for a Billietiae. So either way, there's an alternative to the Philodendron Paraiso Verde. Yeah, I'm just not that impressed, but it is still a cool plant. Okay, so the next one, I would say that does not live up to the hype, and people say that it is no longer like a hyped plant, whatever, but it definitely used to be. And I would say it does not live up to that, and that's why people aren't really as into it anymore, and that's the Philodendron Melanochrysum. So this one I love. I think this one is beautiful, and I will never get rid of this one. But then there's also ones that look like this, and it's still cute, but I mean, you can get a Micans for like way cheaper, and it looks very, very similar. So when it looks like this, it's not really anything to write home about. But I mean, when they start to get a little bit longer leaves like this one, I think they are really cool. Like when they're really big, I think they are so cool. But I think they are hard to size up. I've only been getting big leaves like this since it's been warmer and more humid in the greenhouse. In my house, I've never been able to get them to look like this. So, okay, so that is all of the plants on my list of like popular plants that I think did and did not live up to the hype. So let me know what you thought in the comments, if you agree or disagree. Of course, politely, and this is all in the spirit of fun. This is not intended to upset anyone. I think I've explained that like 4 times, but like the internet is a weird place, you know? So yeah, let me know what you thought. And please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and follow me on Instagram at Queen City Tropicals, and I will see you again soon.